I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Today we're reading from the book of John, chapter 4, and let's focus on verses 7 through 10. A woman of Samaria came to draw water. "Give me a drink," Jesus asked her, for his disciples had gone into town to buy food. "How is it that you, a Jew, ask for a drink from me, a Samaritan woman?" she asked him. "For Jews don't associate with Samaritans." And Jesus answered, "If you knew the gift of God, and who is saying to you, 'Give me a drink,' well, you would ask him, and he would give you living water." One does not have to wade very deep into the New Testament scripture to understand that Jews and Samaritans do not like each other. For one thing, Samaritans were half-breeds. That is, they were part Jewish and part Gentile, both biologically and also theologically. And historically, the kingdom of Israel had been split after the death of King Solomon. And as a result of the tragic apostasy of Solomon's leadership toward the latter years of his rule, God removed the national unity from the tribes of Israel. Judah and Benjamin, aka Judah, called Jerusalem their capital, and the remaining 10 tribes, aka Israel, considered Samaria to be their capital. And the men of Israel in Samaria not only took foreign wives, but their wives also enticed them to worship pagan gods, just like the same thing had happened to Solomon later in his life. The prophet Jeremiah wrote about it. Jeremiah 2, verses 10 through 13, "Has a nation ever exchanged its gods? But they are not gods," speaking of these fake gods that they were believing in. "And yet my people have exchanged their glory for useless idols. Be horrified at this, heavens. Be shocked and utterly appalled. This is the Lord's declaration. For my people have committed a double evil. They have abandoned me," right, "the fountain of living water, and they have dug cisterns for themselves, cracked cisterns that cannot hold water." So Jesus' use of Jeremiah's prophetic living water and broken well imagery was intended to remind the woman of Samaria's past sin, which had caused Israel to become divided as a nation, and that Samaritan sin separated the northern kingdom from the blessing of God. Now, the woman's sexual sin was also symbolic of how Israel's northern kingdom had spiraled into spiritual adultery through pagan idolatry. So by asking the woman for water, Jesus showed his willingness to forgive by grace, both spiritual and sexual adultery. Commandments 3 and 7, by the way. All could be forgiven on the basis of faith. His offer of grace and mercy brings to mind Proverbs 11, verse 25. "A generous person will be enriched, and the one who gives a drink of water will receive water." Have you reached out to Jesus and said, "Lord, I am dry and I am thirsty," because he will fill you with living water? I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Groundworks Ministries operates entirely through financial donations from faithful people like yourself. And your giving to Groundworks Ministries transforms lives. Would you consider making a donation to Groundworks Ministries today? Because we need your monthly support now more than ever. Donating is secure and it's easy at our website, groundworksministries.com. You know, there's another way to help. That is to tell people about Groundworks Ministries. You can share these podcasts with friends, with your family, on your social media. And of course, you can always direct folks to our website, groundworksministries.com.